Alright guys, just back here with another quick little Bible review, and hopefully it'll be quicker than my first one. Today we're going to be looking at a edition of another Cambridge Bible, and this edition is the Pitt Minion edition, and it's a very nice small little hand-size edition, so you can see my hand there on it. About perfectly hand-sized and very thin portable Bible. So just didn't want to do a quick review on this one. And this one comes in black goat skin. As you can see here, the grain is super nice. And it's also very comparable to the one on my Concord wide margin, as Cambridge does keep it pretty standard throughout all their line. You can see the grain there though, nice grain. And I love the black goat skin, it's just really beautiful. But here on the side you can see it says Holy Bible there at the top, King James Version, and down here again you have the Cambridge seal and the name. And then this also has tooled hubs. It has 5 of them there, so you can see they're very nicely done. And this one also, just like my wide margin, is not stitched around the edge, rather it's tooled. As you can see, that little line that's pressed down there. And the one difference about this one compared to the wide margin, as far as the cover and everything goes, is that you're going to have a paste down liner. And so what that is instead of the polymer liner, where it's very flexible and it's very tangible, this is going to be like a thicker cardstock paper, kind of exactly like this over here. And they line it with that. And so you can see it's still very flexible, but it's not, you don't want to be doing that too often on it. So you can see, like, if you do that and then lay it down, it kind of bends up like that instead of laying completely flat again. But you can tell that this Bible, let's see if I can get a shot of it in the light here. You can tell it is edge lined, even though it's paste down, and you can see a little crease there on the inside. That is vinyl tape that they run up in there, and it does connect these first 2 pages together. So you can see here and here. So they do run a little piece of tape up in there so that this is edge line, and so then it does add or remove stress from here and puts it over here, so it will last a lot longer. So moving on, you have the basic presentation page as you did in the wide margin edition. And you can use that again for weddings, special dates, when you were presented the Bible. I bought this Bible about 1.5 years ago, so I didn't really present it to myself. I just, kind of left it blank. But moving on here. Now, I will mention one thing. I did get this Bible from evangelicalbible.com, and it did come to me like this. It came torn down here, and it came like that. That wasn't actually me using the Bible. So that was kind of a little bit disappointing, but I thought, hey, why not still use it and see where it goes, since I was using it as a kind of a door knocking Bible anyways. So I went door to door. I would just use this Bible. Since it was a kind of a full Bible and it's still very thin, it's like just 1 inch thin, or just under it. So it's a very thin Bible. It's about 5 by 7. So very nice portable size to bring when you're door knocking. So when I did get this Bible, though, it was ripped there, but I can say after 1.5 years, it's still held up pretty well, and so it hasn't really affected the Bible. So we'll see going on what that happens with that. But you can see you have the first title page there, and then you have the second that shows the Holy Bible, Old and New Testaments, translated out of the original tongues, and so on and so forth. And you can see the Cambridge University Press seal down here. And then off to the side here, you're going to see a Pitt Minion reference. And as we move on in here, you're again going to have the patent rights to the authorized King James Version for the King James in England. And you can see here that it has the rights to that and how many verses you can use, and in the works how you're supposed to quote it. And you see here that the references to the Pitt Minion are from the Zondervan reference system, and then also the Reader's Companion there, produced by Cambridge University Press. And this is the second edition of the Pitt Minion, and we'll get into that more as we talk about the text itself. But you can see here the typeset is 6.75 with a 7-point leading. So what that means is the actual letters are 6.75 font, but because of the spacing between the letters and the words, it has the appearance of a 7-point font. And this is, this is Cambridge's new font that they like to go to, Lexicon #1 by Blue Heron Bookcraft. And you can see here it's printed and bound in the Netherlands, and no doubt by Youngblood. So after that, you get to the contents page here, and you can see the contents. And this one, opposed to the wide margin, is just going to have the epistle dedicatory instead of the translators to the reader as well, just to reduce on space, so that it can be a thinner edition. So then here you're going to have all the books of the Bible just listed out and what page they begin on. And then on this page you're going to have the epistle dedicatory. And then there's the epistle dedicatory, and then the beginning of the Old Testament. And so we get into the text here, So the first book of Moses, called Genesis. And you can see here that with the Pitt Minion in the second edition, it is a paragraphed layout as opposed verse to verse. And the first Pitt Minion edition was verse by verse. So it would be verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4, and so on. But you can see here you have verse 1 and it runs across, and then you have verse 2 right there where it says, and the earth was without form. And so it runs in a paragraph form. And you can see also here with the references. So for example, in Genesis 1:1, you don't just go from verse 1 and then look in the reference and see 1:1. Instead, it does have tags in the text, as you can see that little A. And so what you do is you go to verse 1 here in the reference, and reference A is John 1:1 and 2. And then you go to B, and then you would go to B here in the column, and you go to Psalms 8:3. And so it's kind of a change and topical reference system from Zondervan, and it's really nice. And also you do have the translator's footnotes from the King James. So it gives like literal renderings or modern equivalents, or just literal words or definitions of words. But you can see from back here, if it will focus, it's a very small text. So if you do have bad eyesight, it is kind of recommended not to get this one. But I will say, with that being said though, if you do have relatively good eyesight, it is very easy to read at a small font, and it is one of my favorite Bibles to read. I take this everywhere with me. I take it to work, and anytime I have a chance, I read and I'm in God's Word, and this is really just a blessing. The font's really good, and it just makes you want to really read this edition of the Bible. So you can see though also here in narrative that it's just going to be laid out in paragraph form. And then when you get into the Psalms, flip to poetry here. Or there's even Job, but we'll go ahead and go to the book of Psalms. So, here you have the book of Psalms. And this is set out in poetic verse. So, this is like the update to all the other modern versions that they do, where it's set in modern English. So it's going to be in poetic verse instead of verse by verse. And it looks very nice. I do really appreciate this update to the King James, because it gives it a fresh feel, and it's just a blessing to see this. Because if you go to your, a bookstore today, all the King James in there are pretty much garbage as far as the print goes, or the text block. Or excuse me, the layout that they have. It's very old-fashioned, or just boring to look at, and even the covers aren't good. Most of them are bonded leather or genuine leather, pigskin, so they're not even that good. So to see this from Cambridge, where they've updated the KJV text to where it's still reverent, it still looks very good, but it just looks fresh. It looks like it's for this generation, and it's very easy to read, as you can see. And this is line matched, and of course there's going to be a little bit more ghosting here since it's not in paragraph form or narrative form. So there is going to be where you can see the words behind it, but it's really not that bothersome. Alright, so there's the look at the Psalms. We'll go to the book of Matthew now. And here is the title page to the New Testament. And you can see this is a red letter edition. And also a little neat little tidbit is that if your Cambridge comes with a red ribbon, normally that means that it is a red letter edition. And if it comes with a black ribbon, or the color of the cover, then it's normally a black letter edition. So this has a red ribbon, and we can see here this is a red letter edition. And so we open it up here to the genealogy here in Matthew chapter 1. And you can see here how the narrative is laid out, so it's not as much ghosting in this area. It's line matched, so it's very nice and easy to read. But you also notice here that it does not have self-pronunciation. And which is nice, because with a font this small, you don't really want that. It would just be a distraction when you're trying to read. Especially since they do go ahead and tag the text with the A's and B's and the 1s and 2s for the notes in the center column. But it's very nice, guys. I mean, really, this is very readable. If you're going out to a restaurant, or maybe you got a doctor's appointment or dentist appointment, or you're just out in town and you got time to kill, this is a very good Bible to bring with you. It's very small and very convenient to carry. It's not a bother at all, and you can read God's Word whenever you want to. It's such a blessing. And we'll go ahead and take a look at the red letter here and try to compare this to black letter so you guys can see the difference. Okay, here we go. So you can see here the black letter text compared to the red. It's a very good contrast, and to be honest, Cambridge does some of the best red letter in my opinion. I really do love it. It's not too bright, but it's not too dull, and it's just a perfect amount of red. And especially against the black text, it just makes it stand out, and it's very, I think, very well done. And the one thing that it does also in the New Testament is, I'll show you here, get to the book of Acts, just as it does for poetry, where it sets it in poetic verse in the Old Testament. You can see here in the book of Acts, if I can get to a letter, I know like when Paul was in prison, and then they had the captain of the guard write a letter to the governor. They set the letter out in a poetic structure. Here we go. So you can see here, this is actually when the apostles wrote to the church at Antioch about what they should do and what they whether they should keep the sacrifices in the holy days, or whether the Gentiles should just accept the gospel and live with only the things like not committing fornication or eating things with blood in it. And so you can see the letter they wrote to him. It's set there, it's indented, and then it just continues on, as opposed to the rest where it's paragraphed. This is set apart. So that's pretty much it for that. And then in the back, you're going to have a reader's companion here. And this is a nice little handy thing to have. It's not a full concordance, but what it does is it does give you like words, events, and places, and gives you a short definition with some words. So you can see here Aaron, Moses' elder brother, associated with him in the liberation of the Israelites from Egypt. A descendant of Levi, he was the founder of the hereditary priesthood. So you can see it, then it gives some reference there. And it's got a bunch of stuff in here. So this is actually a really big help, even in study. If you had to, maybe you don't have your main Bible with you, but you have this one would be still a very good study edition. So, other than that, you're going to go back to the back, and this Reader's Companion is 138 pages long. And you can see there it is produced for Cambridge University Press by Roger Coleman. And this is a very big help. And it's a nice thing just to be able to read through and look up words and places, and to have a little bit of a definition, and then just to find it in Scripture also. Then you're going to have your Cambridge maps over here, and there are also 15 maps in this one, just like the Concord Wide Margin. And they're the exact same maps, obviously just shrunk in size due to the size of the Pitt Minion. But you can see here, still very well done, and even though small, very readable. And so you have the maps, and then that is the end of the Bible there. And then you're going to have your blank page there, your ISBN number, and the edition of this King James. And then you can see also here, if I can get it, that this is edge lined in the back. You can see those two papers right there glued together where that vinyl tape comes up. And then back here, you're going to have that paste down liner. And you can see that it's glued in there very well. And that Cambridge paste down liners really do last a long time. So if you're hesitant about, maybe should I get the goat skin because it's going to last longer, because it is leather lined in the bigger editions, granted this one is paste down even though it's goat skin, but like in the wide margin where you think, well, is the leather liner really worth it? I mean, it is. It will hold up, but I wouldn't be hesitant if you wanted to save money and you're in a bind. The paste downs from Cambridge are really, really nice, and they last a long time. And so I would not be hesitant at all to get that. So I just want to bring this review to you, and went over 16 minutes again, so I do apologize for that. But this is an awesome Bible, and if you guys want this, I would pull the trigger on evangelicalbible.com. This is $102, and it is worth it, guys. It will last you a long time. It's just pliable. It's broken in. You can see here, I mean, even though it's a paste down, it still limps. And it's a very small Bible. Very nice. So you can hold it open here. And you can see it's got good flexibility. So, I hope this video was a blessing to you. If you have any comments or questions about it, just let me know in the comments, and I will definitely love to answer them for you. So, have a good night, and God bless.